Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We're up to show like 790 since 1996. So this is the latest edition. It is June 19th. And so if you're watching on June 19th, you can call us and ask questions of Mr. Casper Leach or myself. If you have any questions about hemp or cannabis, it's 503-288-4448. And we've got standing by in the wings our musical host, Mr. John Cornett. How are you doing, John?
Very good, Paul. Good to see you.
Good to see you. And next to me is Casper Leach, who's fiddling around with his microphone a little bit, but he's waving now. There he is. And we're ready to go. So as we always do, until further notice, we'll bring on our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
All right. And without further ado, here is Mr. John Cornett. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Paul. Before I start, I just want to do a little shout out for brother LK, Larry Kirk. He can no longer be here with us, but because of brave souls like he, we get to plant. You know, we get to, there's a lot of people who are special in their activism around here, and Larry Kirk was one of them. I'd like to dedicate this old Pete Seeger song to him. Okay, brother. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All I need is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless the seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Pulling weeds, picking stones, man is made from dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the times are close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. To my body and my brain, to the music from the land. Your rows straight and long, thicker than with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. Oh, bird watching hungrily from his perch in yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered thief up there. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All I need is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless the seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Thank you.
Is Mr. John Cornett. Thank you, John. It's a nice little tune there. We are taking your phone calls tonight. If you have a question for us, you can call us that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. How are you doing, Casper?
Fine, and happy Friday.
You got a new tie every week now through the magic of eBay? It's not as rainbow as last week's, but it matches your shirt well.
It is my tribute to Governor Blumentrauser for coming on board and being a supporter of the hemp movement.
Okay. You mean Earl Blumenauer, the United States Congressman from the 3rd District of Oregon.
As long as he is our
him.
representative, I will be wearing bow ties.
You know, he voted for decriminalization as a state representative back in 1973, and now he's our main proponent for marijuana legalization in the halls of Congress. So thank you, Earl Blumenauer. We are taking your phone calls tonight. We have a caller standing by, so give us a call if you want, but we'll answer this call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi.
Hey.
I talked to you last week about healthcare facilities that were cannabis friendly.
Yeah, so, you know, I can't really name names on the show without their permission, but I can have you call our office at 503-281-5100. That's 503-281-5100. And leave a message.
503-281-5100.
Yeah, it's right there, or there on the screen. 503-281-5100. Call, and we'll be back in touch with you over the weekend. But thanks for calling in.
Yeah, well, it's just something that needs to be addressed for a lot of us.
I know.
Thanks
Casper's
kindly.
been saying I should start one of my own, but I'm not in a
Hey,
position
I
to do
thought
that
of
right
it. Find an old motel someplace, move a nurse in on one side, and the rest of us, just move in.
Well, medical marijuana is illegal in the state, but I'm not certain if there's many nursing homes or
Things will keep changing.
facilities, you want to call them, recovery facilities that have vaporizer rooms and allow for the smoking in private rooms. And I'm knowing that there's a lot of members of the baby boomer generation that are hell-bent on taking their joints to their coffins with them. And so I think if Paul opened a chain of nursing homes, it would be a 420 Shady Pines. You know, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, 420 Shady Pines. And
Or Shady Hemp Plant.
and make it a chain, and it would be good. It would be really good.
Yes,
But I don't
it
have
would.
one now.
Cafeteria room, the bong room, the medication room.
Hey, get
All
a
right.
little wading pool in there, and catch you later.
Sounds good. All right, sir. Thanks for calling. So if you have any questions for us this evening, you can call us there at that number there on your screen. It's 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. So there's been a lot of news this past week here in Oregon. The legislature has come up with a bargain. It looked like they weren't going to do anything at all, which to me was the best thing that could happen. But this one Republican from Eastern Oregon, Firoli, a Republican, has been demanding, before anything can happen about Measure 91, that he be allowed to ban medical dispensaries and adult marijuana stores in his area. And so the bargain that the legislature's come up with that has just made it out of committee but hasn't gone through the whole legislative process yet is that any county that voted with over 55% of the vote against Measure 91, their county councils and municipal councils will be able to ban marijuana stores, whether they be medical or adult social stores. So, you know, there weren't many counties that way. In fact, all of them were represented by this one state senator, Farioli. And so there's small counties out there in eastern Oregon. I don't like it. There's other things they're talking about, allowing the counties to impose taxes of their own, raising the tax above what we mandated. You know, if we don't like this law, we have 90 days after the end of the legislative session to gather 4% of the voters in the last gubernatorial election and stop that from going into effect. And in fact, that's what we did here in Oregon back in 1997 when the legislature, by over a two-thirds majority, voted to recriminalize possession of less than an ounce of marijuana. We got double the number of signatures that we needed. We put it on a vote. It stopped that law from going into effect in '97, in October of '97. Then it was voted on in November of '98 as ballot measure 57. At the same time, we'd gathered enough signatures to qualify medical marijuana, and that was ballot measure 67. So we had the complex task of saying, vote no on 57 and yes on 67. Not that complex, but that's what happened. In fact, on recriminalization, we won every single county of the state, voted no. Even those eastern ones that we were talking about earlier, they voted no. They didn't want to waste government resources by recriminalizing marijuana. We are supporting a referendum up in Washington to stop their sad law to do away with Washington's medical marijuana system, and that is referendum 76. You can go to their website at r76no.org. That's r76no.org if you want to get involved in the no on destroying medical marijuana in Washington State. But, you know, our law here in Oregon is infinitely better than the sad excuse of a law that they have across the river in Washington. I mean, it beats being thrown in prison for any amount of marijuana. That's about all you can say, don't you think, Casper?
I do, but Paul, I do have a question. What member of what county council would actually be against having recreational shops or medical shops in their county when every county in this state is having problems paving their roads, paying their teachers, paying their fire departments, covering the cost of police, covering the cost of EMTs, covering the cost of all the parks that they got to take care of and all the city property they got to cover. And then here's an opportunity to make some new revenue without having to do much other than just smile and say thank you. And then they turn their back on it. You said, you know, they're saving money on not chasing after the users and prosecuting.
Casper,
but here's a chance for revenue coming in.
140 municipalities and counties voted for a moratorium to stop medical marijuana dispensaries from opening. So those same 140 county councils want to do that. There's this ex-prosecutor, a DA from Lincoln County, which we won overwhelmingly in Measure 91 and Measure 80 in 2012, Rod Bovet. And he has been leading the Association League of Cities and Counties, lobbying to curtail Measure 91 and medical marijuana. The guy is a snake in the grass. He's a dishonest guy. I tore him apart in a debate in Eugene around Measure 80 back in 2012, but he has, you know, the cities and counties in his pocket, and they're one of the most powerful lobbying groups in the state. Well, but the thing is, this compromise will only allow a few, mostly sagebrush counties, out in the high desert of eastern Oregon to do that. The rest of the state wouldn't be affected, and those sagebrush counties out there won't be allowed to share any of the proceeds from the medical or the adult social marijuana sales.
Then my next question is, in these particular counties, are forfeitures, are they high? Are there's a lot of police kicking in doors and taking property in these counties where they benefit so much from the forfeiture aspects of this war on drugs that for them to let go of this and take a lot of money out of their pocket?
I really can't answer that with any degree of knowledge, so I don't want to jump in there and say, yeah, they're really bad and they're seizing everything left and right. But what we see when it comes to police officers is it's almost always former narcotics officers that are mostly corrupt that are in favor of continuing marijuana prohibition. They don't want to see their gravy train go away. And so it's all for their benefit. They'll destroy our lives and beat us and shoot us and taser us and everything else just so they can continue to cash in on the black market. That's what I think.
Well, then may I quickly say this, and then I'll be hushed, that it is nice that we have these laws here in the state, because when you need a police officer here in Portland, Oregon, you can call them. I know, Paul, when your grow room was invaded by perpetrators who were meaning you harm and wanting
Thieves.
to take your property, the police showed up, even shook your hand and thanked you for all that you did. And when you
They
need
encouraged us to pass
an
initiative to legalize
and the police
marijuana.
officers in this town are less corrupt, and they seem more interested in
The
helping
cops
the
on the
community.
street, until you get into the narcotics officers,
Yeah.
and those are the ones, if you're corrupt, you go into being a narcotics officer. That's just the way it works. So we have a caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, your caller's Nikki.
Hey, Nikki, how are you? You're out there at the other spot at
I am at the
Southeast
other spot
72nd
right
and
now.
Holgate,
We wanted to
which is a
call
medical
and
marijuana
you guys-
social club. You're not a dispensary, but you're Harold, 72nd and Harold
I
Street.
hear everyone yelling the address in the background.
Yeah, they
That's
are.
Awesome.
How are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing great, Paul, and we just wanted to say how important your show is to us and to everyone. And we wanted to also give as much respect to LK as possible and to our activist brother. He was very loved by so many people across the board. And here at the other spot, we got the pleasure to see him almost every day for the last 7 months. So
Well, you know what? We have a little video, and we're going to run that immediately after this. Once you get off the phone, we're going to run a video.
Well,
We've got a
thank
couple of
you.
videos with LK in there.
awesome, and I just want to say it's been a pleasure doing hemp stock with him and all the other things that I've done with him over the years, and he's been a great mentor and just a great friend.
He
And
was a positive
I'm gonna miss the
influence
great
on.
flowers he gives me.
He's a positive influence on everyone. We've lost a number of our critical volunteers over the past few weeks. We've lost First Melody Silverwolf back on the 24th of April from complications of a stroke. Then we lost Rod Platt, cameraman and volunteer at Hempstock and the Seattle Hemp Fest. He had a massive heart attack and never recovered. He passed away on the 26th, wasn't it? And then Dr. Philip Levesque passed away back on May 2nd. And then just yesterday, on the 18th of June, we lost Larry Kirk, who was well known in the cannabis cups that High Times puts on around the country. And he'll mention that in a video we run here in a little bit.
And I just want to give his family a lot of love and support also. They've done a heck of a job these last months. So I just want to give the big shout out. And we love you guys at the other spot. Thank you
we
so
had
much.
Justin James Bridges on here, and he was a big
Hi,
supporter of Justin and lots of different bands. But he came into our THCF Medical Garden when Justin came to record a song just 9 days ago. And so I was able to post a few pictures up on Facebook. Anyone who wants to see that or find out more, go to facebook.com/hemp.org. That's facebook.com/hemp.org. And we've got pictures up there of Larry Kirk, Rod Platt, Dr. Philip Levesque, and Sister Sativa, Melody Silverwolf.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do. Love you guys. Love you, Casper.
Good night.
So we have this video. Let's go ahead and roll it. We'll be back in just a second.
LK backstage at Hempstock 2010. I'm sitting here with Dr. Levesque, probably the founder and most important person in the medical marijuana movement in Oregon, in my opinion, guys. Somebody might argue that, but I think that Dr. Levesque did more for sick people than any other doctor in the state of Oregon, my opinion. And what do you think of the event, Doc?
Of this event? Yes. Oh, this is absolutely great, and I tell everybody we need as much publicity as we can get, because the whole thing of it is that right now we've got about 35,000 patients with permits, and about 5,000 waiting. So in other words, we really have 40,000. But the doctors who are doing this cannot keep up with the demand. And hopefully by next year we'll have 50,000 in Oregon. But the THC clinic has over 100,000 from 9 states and 26 clinics. So we're THC Foundation is really at the head of the business. And I think I was one. If I wasn't the first doctor, I was one of the first 10 doctors to sign applications. And in the first year, I signed about 1,000, and the next doctor had signed 71. And from then on, it just dropped down to almost nothing. And several doctors had signed 1 or 2. But now we've got 3,000 doctors. But the THC Foundation clinic, 10 doctors have signed 70%, or over 20,000 of the applications in the state of Oregon. So we're doing great, and we can't keep up with the demand, because as it becomes, people become aware of the fact that reefer madness was just a bunch of crap, and it's an extremely useful drug, and it's been medically documented that it's good for about 200 different medical conditions, other than the first 9 or so that were what shall I say, make patients eligible in the state of Oregon. So we're going gangbusters, and I think one of the strange thing about it is that 4 doctors complained that I was stealing their patients and doping them up. And so the medical board suspended and then revoked my license. But the other doctors said, the medical board is spending all their time hassling Dr. Levesque, so they're going to leave us alone. And so that's why we have now about 3,000 doctors that are signing these applications, but most of them have really signed only 1 or 2, something like that.
Well, on behalf of all the people that can't say it, I want to thank you, because you did benefit me. I did benefit personally from your efforts, and I'm sorry that the state's messing with you.
Well, I have heard from many people, Doctor, you have saved my life. And I think one of my poster boy patients was a Marine helicopter pilot in Vietnam. He was shot down 7 times. The last time he was in the hospital 31 months getting taken care of. And he was on something like 400 milligrams of morphine a day, which is enough to stop an elephant. And the VA would not let him use marijuana. So he told him to go fly a kite, and he came to me, and he told me several times, Doctor, you saved my life. He was able to drop the morphine down to 60 milligrams a day because he was now able to use marijuana.
Now, I know that this, just because I read his book, that Dr. Levesque was in World War II.
Yep.
And from your book, I learned that the de-icer for the airplanes was something that any of us that ever liked bourbon would really like.
That's true. The de-icer was isopropyl alcohol, which is called rubbing alcohol in the pharmacies. But I think one of my favorite stories, well, what I consider to be my best day during World War II, me and a buddy captured 26 German officers. And that story is, if you punch up 26 Nazi officer prisoners, you'll get that story. And my worst day, we crossed the Rhine River. We lost 150 men in less than an hour, and I ended up behind the German lines. And my hair used to be fiery red, and when I came home from the war, my hair had turned to auburn, and my mother, the first thing she said was, Philip, what happened to your beautiful hair? And I said, Mother, I think it's at the bottom of the Rhine River.
Well, I would like to thank you for your service. I always ask everybody this one question. If you could say anything that you wanted to the marijuana community, what would it be?
What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Never smoke it in the presence of police or underwater.
That's probably my best advice. And I just I just told people when I was on the stage out here, don't smoke in the rain, and somebody raised their hand and said, why not? And I said, well, if you have to ask, you've been smoking the good stuff.
Again, this is LK backstage at Hempstock 2010 with Dr. Levesque, and thank you again, sir.
Very good. Glad to be here. We need all the publicity we can get.
So what he was talking about with publicity, he was featured in the New York Times. Fox National News came in and interviewed him in our temporary facilities on Sandy Boulevard before we actually opened a real office. He was also the very first person that Anderson Cooper interviewed at CNN. The first interview that Anderson Cooper did that was broadcast on CNN was with Dr. Levesque, and he is just an incredible man. It's an honor to work with him. I am so in his debt. And LK as well was a very valuable volunteer, and so LK just passed away yesterday, and so we miss you, LK, and our hearts go out to your children, Roy, Mariah, and all his family out there. You had a lot of family, so that's the way it is. Now, if you have a question or comment for us tonight, give us a call at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. And so, Casper, so tell us about your varied network programming.
We have a lot of hosts that are working on the network trying to end prohibition. Judge James Gray comes on a couple times a month and gives updates as to what's going on across the United States and his opinion as a judge as to how things are going in Congress as well, which I think is rather interesting. And then we've got from Canada, Al Graham, who gives us an update on the Canadian scene. Chris Conrad and Mickey Norris and Jeremy Dahl bring us excerpts of their West Coast Leaf, which they have online now, and then they also give us a report from California and the West Coast, so we know what's going on there. Paul Stanford has his programming on our network as well. You may have heard of him. He's a pretty nice guy. I like working with him. And so we've got a lot.
I know him very well.
We've got a lot of groovy people, as I like to say. L.S. Love does his show. And we've got Kevin Zeese that brings on Clearing the Fog. Lanny Surdwell brings on his program on Friday mornings. We got the Drug Truth Net with Dean Becker on Thursdays. And it's a privilege to work with all these founders of the marijuana movement, the founding fathers. And so happy Father's Day to all the founding fathers of the marijuana movement. It's a pleasure to work with you shoulder to shoulder in the foxhole. We've also got some WordPlus plugins you can use to include us in your websites if you're a web builder. And we've got all kinds of new updates every week to check out. Free downloads, MP3s to share with your friends. We are the only 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week, all cannabis, all the time broadcasting network in iHeartRadio. And like a good joint, we are best when shared with friends. Thank you for the shameless plug.
All right, all right. We have another video that features LK. He was speaking at the other spot and interviewed by our associate Iko. And so is that video ready? Yeah? Okay, we'll be back in just a moment.
It was unbelievable the things that we were able to do and not be prosecuted for it. You know, it was an unbelievable time for the movement. The Mount Tabor deal, it was like, if you weren't there, let me try to explain it to you this way. Freedom? Well, it was really important because that way sick people could have their medicine for nothing. And, you know, that's what this is all about. The government wants to keep marijuana illegal because they can't find a way to tax it. If they had a for sure way of taxing it, we wouldn't have the problems we have with legalizing it today, because everybody knows there's medical properties to marijuana. It is the most important thing is the home grow. That means that my medicine don't cost me. That means that I can grow it for nothing. You don't charge somebody or say somebody can buy a tomato at a grocery store, but they can't grow their tomatoes. You don't tell somebody they can go buy their ears of corn, but they can't grow corn. Why are you going to tell somebody they can have their medicine, but they can't grow it? Well, the first thing I would say is take your money away from those states. So move to a state that believes that you're not a criminal. There are states out there, guys. There's Washington, there's Oregon, there's Colorado now, there's Alaska. Hey, there's Washington, D.C., guys. So take your money out of the states that are oppressing you and move. Do not give tax money to Oklahoma. Don't give tax money to Texas. Take your businesses out of those states and move them to states that believe that you're not a criminal. Take that money that you're spending in Texas and take it to Colorado. My God, it's only one state away, guys. You know, take your money and speak with your money. Speak with your votes. And if you start taking the money and you start running to the legal states, those states will start changing their attitudes, guys. I'm telling you. So you need to vote with your pocketbooks. The belief that young people don't need to go to jail for a flower. I'm tired of young people losing their scholarships because they decided to party one night. They're doing nothing less or more than their grandfathers did, but yet we're prosecuting them as if they are big criminals. No matter how much progress you make, there's still work to be done. These people are my heroes. They've worked so hard in this movement, but yet they keep working, they keep going. You know, look at Mr. Emery. I mean, good Lord, look what they did to him, and he's out now and he's back to activism. Thank God for people like these men. Well, High Times since the 70s has been in the forefront of getting the lies that the government's been saying out. So why wouldn't you want to support a magazine that's letting the truth be known? I mean, anytime that you can find out the truth, educate yourself, man. And High Times has been educating the stoner population since the 70s. I think the first High Times that I bought was 1975. So they've been at it for a while, guys. And as far as the cups go, oh my God, what an honor it is to be a part of that. I mean, you get to try some of the best medicine in the world, and to have your opinion matter. That's a good thing. But the best thing is because of their push for legalization. I mean, buy the magazine, guys. If you think that young people shouldn't go to jail for marijuana, buy a High Time magazine. If you think that young people shouldn't lose their scholarships because of smoking a joint, go to one of these High Time cups. If you think that young people shouldn't have to pick up the highways because they might have smoked a joint somewhere in their past, then attend any function that you can that supports the movement. So get out there with your dollars and vote, and with your movement and vote.
All right. That is our friend LK. He just passed away yesterday, and it's our honor to honor him in a memorial video there. So, yeah, we were just talking a moment ago. Delaware just decriminalized marijuana. That's a step in the right direction. But they're surrounded by Maryland, which has some form of medical marijuana, as does Washington, D.C. So Delaware has neighbors, and, of course, New Jersey as well, that allow some medical marijuana. But that's just one of the pieces of news this week. There have been a lot of different developments, and so we'll discuss those here in just a moment. Let me go ahead with our show and tell segment. We have a few items here. We'll start down at this end. We'll start down at this end. Here's hemp twine. This is hemp oil, and there's hemp oil in this little cup here with hemp twine, and it's an illuminant. This is the reason that marijuana is illegal, because the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, elite, crony, capitalist ruling class fed us this lie and this name, marijuana, when it really wasn't. If they try to make hemp illegal, they wouldn't have been able to do it. So they said it was a deadly new drug. It's the oldest and most productive crop. Here's a sample of some hemp fiber. The outside of this fiber is the bast fiber. This is made into canvas, rope, lace, and linen. That's the bark, or the bast fiber. The interior woody core is the hurd fiber, spelled with a U. And so this is the most productive source of fiber and also the strongest plant fiber. Right over here next to it is a very nifty item. This is a Seabury and Johnson plaster made with hemp and aspirin, salicylic acid or aspirin. So this was a product from Seabury and Johnson, and it actually still has the plaster inside it. And you'd put this on top of whatever skin ailments you had. There's what's in there. Big 7-inch wide, 1 yard long plaster, so you could cover a lot of different things with that. Right next to it, we have a little bit newer one. This is a Johnson & Johnson one. So Seabury and Johnson morphed into Johnson & Johnson, and they also made the same salicylic acid or aspirin mixed with cannabis as a topical. And then right here, we have a Canadian asthma relief. You were supposed to burn this in a little cup and inhale it. Can you close in any tighter on that? Yeah, there. So this is the French side of this Canadian product. Here's the English side, asthma relief. Kellogg's, it wasn't cornflakes, folks. This was cannabis. It says right on here that it is cannabis. And then last but not least, we have this Eli Lilly product. And it has a big, long explanation label on the back, a couple labels on the front. It says that this is the synonyms for cannabis are Indian hemp, hashish, churus, bong, subjur. I never heard of subjur, but ganja. Ganja, of course, is still pretty much in use. And it's for hunger. It's an appetite stimulant. And it says it's for all sorts of things, including for habituates of opium, chloroform, and cocaine, and delirium tremens with alcohol addiction.
And will make you tolerate people you don't like with a smile on your face.
Or a job you might not enjoy.
There you go.
Or all sorts of things like that. So it was widely used medicine. We always like to demonstrate that right here on the show. So you can buy them in medical dispensaries today, but not from these companies. These companies are not making them. I'm not sure exactly why. Well, it was made illegal, of course. And so we have an online show that you can watch this program at ustream.tv. That's ustream.tv. So you have a question here. Are there any events planned for July 1st here in Oregon, the day marijuana becomes legal? And the answer is yes. One of the things that we had a guest in the studio last week talk about off camera is they're going to have a tea party with cannabis at the end of the Hawthorne Bridge on July the 4th, right next to the Blues Festival that happens at the base of the Hawthorne Bridge, the west end. Stony Girl Farms are going to be giving out 8,000 seeds, so up to 8,000 people will be able to get one seed. That's another event. And then I know Willamette Week Magazine is going to have a party. I was invited to sponsor or go to it. I don't think I'm going to do that, but I guess a lot of people will be doing that. So that's all coming up here on July 1st and July 4th.
And I'm having an event on July 1st. When I wake up, I'm going to start smoking out until I pass out that night.
All right, and it is your birthday this weekend. So
that's another event that I'm smoking out
till you pass out. I see.
So yeah, I only smoke out to special events.
I see.
Which is why I got that calendar of every day is a special event.
So if you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us there at the number that's about to pop on your screen. It is 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. Or if you're watching us online, you can type in your question into that text box, and through the magic of text messaging, we should have it here shortly. So what other news do you care to relate to us here, Casper?
Well, I think it's exciting that Oregon is making all these changes, and it's nice to see the industry finally start to grow and bloom. It'll be interesting to see how the new entrepreneurs handle themselves in this new market, if they're going to reach out to the activists around them and to the organizations that have helped make it possible to continue their assistance with growing, or if they're going to recoil into their own little area like many businesses do and just...
I think Oregon's going to lead the way. We've got a lot better law than they have in Washington, and an even better law than they have in Colorado. So Oregon is poised to help lead this industry. Of course, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is California, and it looks like California and Nevada are definitely going to be voting on this in 2016. And as long as we don't get a reactionary president, I guess Chris Christie, the New Jersey governor, has said he will turn back the clock and throw us all in jail. So we definitely don't want him as president, but we need a progressive president that isn't going to turn back what the Obama administration has allowed to have happen.
Well, I just have one thing to say to the people in California when it comes to being all stressed out about legalizing marijuana and the politicians who are trying to fight to keep it from happening. I just have one word for them.
Go right ahead.
Drought.
There you have it. We have another video, this time featuring Melody Silverwolf, also known as Sister Sativa. She was the chairman of the chairwoman of the board of directors of KBOO, in addition to being a broadcaster on KBOO for many years. She worked in our THCF medical clinics, helping patients and reviewing records and writing. She was a very talented wordsmith, and she actually wrote the very first Oregon Medical Marijuana Program handbook. And the state of Oregon's health authority then drafted their own, but Melody's was always better. So without further ado, here is our late great Sister Sativa, Melody Silverwolf.
With the THCF clinic, and for me, you know, I call myself Sister Sativa and everybody laughs, but you know, I really am a priestess. I'm a totally high priestess, and I am actually trained as a Wiccan in a very radical tradition called the reclaiming tradition, where we blend our politics and our spirituality, and that's why I do this for a living, because I not only believe in it, but it's also a spiritual calling for me. And you know, Wiccans believe that the sacred is in everything, in each person, in each living thing, in the earth, even in inanimate objects, that we are all part of the sacred. And there was a very fine poem written some years ago by a woman called The Charge of the Goddess. And in there it says that, you know, it says, if that's what you seek, you find not within yourself. You will never find it without. And I guess that's what I wanted to say today, that, you know, we're all seeking. We all follow cannabis for many reasons. It's a healer in many ways. Some of us use it to heal our bodies. Some of us use it to heal our spirits, our emotions, or the wounds that we've been accumulated during our lives. But I think it's really important to use it to find your truth and to act on that truth. Over and over from this stage all weekend, people have been telling you how you can get involved. We're not just saying that because we want to, like, you know, stand up here and talk to you. We really mean it. Everybody who's involved in this movement, who you've seen up here this weekend, who you've seen out there working in the booths and making this event a reality, everybody was once just a person like you who smoked pot and thought it was cool, and you really wish it wasn't illegal, but you weren't quite sure what to do. And now we've all walked down this road, and we want you to join us, because that's how it's going to become a reality. That's how this sacrament, this thing that heals us, that keeps us going, that raises our spirits, that helps us to bond to one another, remember who we are, it's in our control to make it legal. It's in our hands, and we all have to do something. So don't just go home and think, hey, that was a really fun festival. I can hardly wait till next year, and, you know, sit down and smoke your joint and sort of forget all about it. We need you to be a part of this movement. Every single one of you have something that you can give, and I'm asking you now to give it. And I'd like to paraphrase John Kennedy when he said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. And I'd like to tell you, ask not what Bud can do for you. Ask what you can do for Bud. And then do it. You know, it's it's not right. Everybody knows about the law of karma, and we know what people, what constitutes a person of character in this society. It's not right to take and take and take and never give back. We all know that. So it's time to give back. Everybody out there, I want you to think about, what can I do? Even if you have very limited money and very limited time and very limited resources, you can do something to make this movement a reality, to make real legalization, normalization, decriminalization possible, to make it a reality in our lifetimes. I don't want to be 90 years old and still have not accomplished this. It's time, folks. I'm looking at every single one of you out there. I'm talking to you. Out there in the tie-dye, out there in the shorts with your sunglasses on, I'm talking to you. Make it a reality. Join with your brothers and sisters. Make this a real heaven on earth, because we have the power. Blessed be.
So that was Melody Silverwolf's sister Sativa. She just passed away back on the 24th of April, and it's an honor to be able to honor her and show you what a strong spirit she was. So we've had a few of them. It's a shame we didn't have any videos of Rod Platt. He was behind the camera on hundreds of shows here. But we honor Rod's volunteer service, and we wouldn't be where we are without these people. Fortunately, these people got to live and see the end of marijuana prohibition. They didn't live to July 1st when the law goes fully into effect, but they saw us almost win with Measure 80 and then win with Measure 91. They saw Washington and Colorado pass their laws, so we're very happy that they were helping us. But the battle is not over. We need to call our legislators and urge them to vote no on House Bill 3400. I think it would be a lot better if the legislature just doesn't pass anything at all. Instead of a flawed bill, Measure 91 was good enough. And so there's another bill out there that would allow the medical dispensaries to start selling marijuana to adults over the age of 21, effective very soon. That hasn't gone into effect. The OLCC, Oregon Liquor Control Commission, says that they are not going to start licensing stores to the last half of 2016. So our only hope is to see these existing medical stores able to serve adults instead of just medical patients with a medical permit. So that's one of the things we want to see. And again, we want to urge you to contact, if you're up in Washington State, get the initiative. You can actually go into any Federal Express office, FedEx office, and print the, for 12 cents each, print the petition up there and get 20 signatures on that and help stop the implementation of Senate Bill 5052. And so there's the petition for the referendum, or some of the wording about it. And there's r76no.org. So if you have a printer that prints out on 11 by 17, big paper, then you can print it. Or you can go into any FedEx office, and they will print that for double-sided for 12 cents. So it's already set up for that to happen. So we urge you to participate in that. If we don't like the law that they pass here in Oregon, they've got less than a month to go. They want to be out by July 1st, which is only less than 2 weeks away. But statutorily, they could go for about another 3 weeks. So the sooner they get out, the less mischief they can make. It's the way I look at it. And it'd be best if they just vote no on everything. We passed a good law, and they don't need to mess with it.
Well, I would assume that these people are opposing all of these marijuana regulations that have gone into effect that the voters voted for out of love and true concern for their communities. Correct? They just misguided.
They're misguided,
their heart's
and
in the right spot,
they're being paid by the forces of evil. Some of them are out there. And we have a question from our online audience. It is, can hemp be cultivated on July 1st in Oregon? Colorado had hemp farmers plant in 2013. You can actually get a license from the Oregon Department of Agriculture and cultivate low THC hemp. There are several farmers who are doing that. A farmer by the name of Edgar Winter, a longtime activist here in Oregon, he is trying to cultivate, and I think they've issued about 30 permits to cultivate industrial hemp. I know Eric Hempman Loitz, who's been here on our show, he has one of those licenses, but I don't know how he's going to implement it. So yes, you can grow hemp, but you've got to get the license from the Department of Agriculture.
And Edgar Winter is going to name his strain Frankenstein, so it should be quite a monster bud. And
for those of you who get that joke, you have to know the rock band Edgar Winters.
There are some people who are concerned, though. I mean, you can start growing it, but the state still says it's illegal to import the seed, have the seed, get the seed, find the seed, grow the seed. It's got to fall from heaven like manna.
Well, you know, the other thing is a lot of cannabis farmers, especially down in southern Oregon, are incensed and in arms trying to stop the hemp farmers from cultivating industrial hemp because they don't want the pollen from industrial hemp pollinating their flowers. And I can understand that, but I can tell you from experience of having worked in the cannabis fields in Switzerland back in 98 and 99, marijuana, cannabis was legal in Switzerland from 1997 till 2002 under their initiative process in Switzerland. Switzerland initiated the initiative process back in 1850, and Oregon copied it, was the first state to have the initiative process, but they based it on the Swiss one. The way it works in Switzerland is they gather 10% of the voters' signatures, then the law goes into effect for 5 years, and then it's voted on. So they gathered enough signatures for the Droleg initiative in Switzerland in 1998, and then it went in 97.
The Droleg.
Droleg, it's German. Oh. Now, they have it in French as well, but that's the German Droleg. D-R-O, Droleg. Leg, L-E-G.
That's an interesting name. I like that.
Well, it's German. And so that's the largest language group in Switzerland. They speak 4 different languages in Switzerland. Their national languages are German, French, Italian, and Helvetian. Helvetian's only spoken by a small number of people. But those are the 4 national languages in Switzerland. And anyway, they put that initiative on the ballot in 1997, and marijuana was legal from 97 till 2002. This is a country of 6 million adults, and the United States spent $10 million to finance drug groups to stop Droleg from passing, and it ended up with less than 52% of the vote no on it, and it got a little bit more than 48% of the people voted yes. But that's the way that cookie crumbled. But marijuana was legal there for a time, and it went back. We don't want to see that happen here, so you've got to stay active, folks. Get involved. I want to say that if you or a loved one need a doctor to help you get a medical marijuana permit, whether it's in Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Maine, whether it's in Honolulu, Hawaii, or Washington, D.C., you can call us at that number there on your screen. It's 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. We have doctors all across the country that are willing and ready to help you. So next week, we will be doing a tape show. We're going to hook up with our friend Willie Nelson. He'll be here in Portland next week. And so we'll be running a tape show. But we'll be back a couple weeks later. The studio's closed down on the 3rd of July, but we'll be back approximately, I think it's the 10th or 11th of July. So be ready for that. So that's the end of the show. Anything you want to say in closing, Casper?
Just want to say thank you out there for making this happen here in the state, for working with all the hard-working activists in the marijuana movement to end prohibition and to lead the nation. And let's just keep growing.
We're making it hempin'. Thank you for watching. We're going to go out with another great song with Mr. John Cornett. Thank you for being so loyal, dedicated to coming on and sharing your music with us. John, tune in next week and help us restore hemp. Huh!
There's a train coming, and it's already on the track. People changing, and for some there's no turning back. Cannabis, more than just